You would have to be in the trust community because the Zoom link is only shared in the trust community after we had all that craziness with the scammers and the nasty people posting up on. You would have to be in the trust community because the Zoom link is only shared. I have myself talking to myself, throwing me off. All right, so we're here, we're live, we're going, and we're gonna get some people in our meeting today. So let's see what we're gonna do here. But as we're waiting, here's what I'm going to do. I think last week we talked about the constitutional amendments that never were, right? So Dave, you could actually come over onto because I shared the link in the trust community. You could always join in on the trust community. If you're in the trust community, the link is in there to join in on the interactive live. Okay. But let's see, where do you guys want to start today? All right, we can talk about a lot of things. We can go to a lot of places. I am not restricted. Okay. I know I've watched some people in lives and they're a little more restricted about what they will and will not talk about. Obviously, anything that violates public and private separation cannot be really chatted about too extensively. All right. So like if we're getting into like all these private processes and stuff, we can't share those publicly because private and public do not mix. Okay. And that is something that some people have a very hard time with understanding. And this simply is that if you're in the private and you go out into the public, you're now in the public. So all the stuff that you make private must stay private because once it becomes public, it's now general information for everybody. So a lot of these things, a lot of these processes and stuff that people do that are supposed to be private get put into the public, and then people get upset when they don't work. And the reason why they don't work is because those private processes were supposed to be private. Okay, as they get converted into public processes, they get stopped because they're operating off of that doctrine, the fiction of law doctrine, which I've been trying to show people and wake people up to, but some people just ain't biting on that one. It's a shame because that's a really important reason why people are not getting remedy that they'd like to get because of the fact that they are utilizing processes in its incorrect format, right? Like publicly when they're private. Okay, so let's keep all that in mind, and let's do that. How's that work? Why does it do that? I don't know. This thing doesn't make any sense to me sometimes, this whole Zoom thing. So we're gonna keep it going. Anyway, what do you guys want to talk about? You guys here who are with me, you guys actually can unmute at any point in time and ask away. No problem with that. But if you're on TikTok or if you're on YouTube, let me get my YouTube comments up so I can see them. So if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on TikTok, if you have a question or a subject you want to go over, just text it. The doctrine. Okay, we can go over this fiction of law doctrine. I think that is a great idea. Let's actually do that first because I think this is the thing that people don't understand. That really needs to be understood. This is probably one of the most important things to understand of like why people are having problems. Okay. And like you study, and then you go, oh, it doesn't, why isn't it working? It says it right here that it's supposed to be a thing like the right to travel, right? And then you get these guys, they go, oh, you don't have a right to travel. That's all bogus, blah, blah, blah. And then you show them, and then you go into court, and they shut you down in the courtroom. They go, see, the courts will not recognize it. Well, why? Because it's fiction of law, okay? They're operating off of an assumption or supposition. That's right here, fiction of law, okay? I'm going to read it to you guys. An assumption or supposition of law, okay, that something which is or may be false is true. Okay, so let's take this fiction of law doctrine and let's apply it to needing a driver's license. Okay, let's just take it to that. Okay, an assumption or supposition of law that something which is or may be false is true. So the falsehood is needing a driver's license to operate an automobile. Okay. But it is assumed to be true nonetheless. Okay. That's your fiction of law right there in operation. Okay. And let's do a little box here. We'll just do like that, right? So, or that a state of facts exist which have never really taken place. Okay, kind of like what was it that what was that? It was a ship that they claimed was sank by like enemy soldiers during World War One, and it forced the United States into World War One. Turns out that ship never even existed. Okay, I forgot the name of the ship, but that was the whole thing. That was the impetus to get the Americans to want to be in World War One, because before that, the American people did not want anything to do with the war. And then they sank, what was it, Lusitania? That's what I think it was called, the Lusitania, which was not even a real ship. Okay, I might be getting the name of the ship wrong, but you get the idea. It's a state of facts exists which have never really taken place. It's a fiction of law. So they've utilized that fiction of law, all right, in order to create certain things. Now, here's the next thing. An assumption for the purposes of justice. So what they're going to make an assumption for the sake of justice. Well, we need justice, so we're going to assume this to be true because we need justice. Well, whose justice are you talking about? Are you talking about the American people's justice? Or are you talking about the states and the courts' justice? They're not the same thing. The American people's justice and the state's justice are not the same. Okay? So an assumption for the purposes of justice of a fact that does not or may not exist. Okay? So they're talking about, okay, we got this assumption here for the purposes of justice, right? We're going to assume this to be true, even though it doesn't even exist. So it's non-existent, but they're going to assume it for justice sake, we're going to assume it to be true. Okay? A rule of law which assumes as true and will not allow to be disproved. Now that's a big deal. It will not allow to be disproved because it assumes it as true. So let's go back to the driver's license. It is assumed to be true that you need a driver's license, okay, in order to drive a car. Okay. Now, that's the assumption. The fact is you have a right to travel. You have a right to use the highways, okay, and the ordinary means of the day. Those are all rights, okay? And it says you have the right to use the highways by ordinary means of the day, which I can show you guys later, all right? But this is the thing. The rule of law, which assumes it's true, will not allow to be disproved. Something which is false, but not impossible. So they tell you, well, you can't drive a car without a driver's license, but is it impossible to drive a car without a driver's license? No. I'm sure a majority of people out there have at one point or another drove their car when their license was either suspended, revoked, or never even had one. Okay? At some point in time, whether it was done purposely or by accident. I know people who driving around and then a month later they get a notice from the DMV saying that their license was suspended because of some stupid, thing with like maybe insurance or whatever. And they're like, I've been driving with no valid license for a month. I had no idea. Well, see, so it's not impossible, right? But this is what the fiction of law is. It's a rule of law which assumes to be true and will not allow to be disproved, to be something that's false. It can't be proven to be false. It is. This is why the courts will always laugh at people and go, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, you're a sovereign citizen. Oh, no, you're this and you're that, because of this doctrine right here. Okay? And this is one of the most important things I think everyone needs to really get their heads around. Okay? Is understanding this concept right here. If you can understand this concept right here, okay, and I'm going to show you guys how we can beat this concept. It's really, really simple, okay? But we're gonna dive into it a little bit more because there's a little bit more information. These assumptions are of an innocent or even beneficial character. So that right there, they're telling you that this is beneficial. So if these fiction of law assumptions are beneficial, if you have to go to court for, let's say, no driver's license, well, ask them, where's the benefit? Where am I getting, where's my benefit to this statute saying that now I can go to jail for 6 months because I didn't have a driver's license? That one time you saw me riding around in my automobile, right, without a driver's license, right? How is that beneficial to me? And you better get an answer to that question, because if they just ignore it and you let them slide, well, that's how you lose, because they just ignore things and then you let it slide. And that is how people lose these things all the time. Don't let any of that stuff slide. They'll threaten you with all kinds of stuff. Oh, I'm going to hold you in contempt. You keep asking those questions. Oh, contempt. Is that civil or criminal contempt? Right? You get them on that one. Right? Well, I mean, thing is, you can't be going through this line of questioning. It's, well, do I not have the right to know the nature and cause of the charges being brought against me? Well, yes, you do. So then, am I not allowed to ask questions? So that's kind of like a direct violation of my right under in the federal constitution. It's the Sixth Amendment to know the nature and causes of the accusations being brought against you. In the state constitution, it's in there. Every state constitution has that same provision. Okay, so use the state's constitution, because they'll tell you, well, that's federal, that doesn't apply here. They've done that to me probably at least 15 times, 20 times in the courtroom. Oh, that doesn't apply. That's a federal. So use the state constitution. What are they going to say? Well, the state constitution doesn't apply in this courtroom. Really? That's a bold-faced lie. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you that whole sovereign citizen thing. You could say, well, it's not a bad thing technically, but they've turned it into a bad thing. Okay, a lot of things that are not bad have been turned into bad things by bad people. Bad people will manipulate words to make them bad, wrong, evil, when they're not. Happens all the time. Okay, go look at the definition of person and then rethink your evaluation about somebody telling you that the word sovereign citizen is A-okay to use. Okay, so they've manipulated the term sovereign citizen, right? It would have been a very good description for the American people, but it's been turned into this domestic terrorist type of term, and that's what the state and the federal governments are using against the people. So I'm not going to use that term. That's their term to mock people who stand on their rights. It's just an attack. And then there's you must be a sovereign citizen because you believe in the Constitution. You're standing on your rights, you're a sovereign citizen. Oh, you're defending yourself in court, you're a sovereign citizen. They make all these things into sovereign citizenship. But that's still fiction of law, right? Fiction of law. It's an assumption, right, that one is a domestic terrorist because of the fact that he stands on his rights. That's still a fiction of law. And then, I mean, it's real simple rebuttal. If they use the term sovereign citizen in a court case against you, the whole point of that is to soil the record, right? To paint you as a bad guy, okay? And it works. So you can sit here all day long telling me, that's a good term, that's a good term. And I'm going to tell you that if you allow that in the record of your court case, you're going to get destroyed. So you make a decision about what you want to do with that, but I'm telling you that it is, like conspiracy theorists, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with having a theory that someone was conspiring, but they turn that into like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, like it's a derogatory term, right? How is that derogatory? Do you really think that there are not people secretly making plans? That's what conspiracy theory means. That means you think that somebody is plotting something secretly. You don't think that's happening? I guess you never heard of NSA or CIA. That's literally that's their job, is to conspire secretly. There's a spy organizations. Okay? And I'm not even being hyperbolic. Literally, the CIA is a spy organization. That's literally what it's for. It's to spy. That's what they're made for. So I don't know why people find that even remotely odd. It's like, these people, the people who make those arguments are lost. All right, and they probably don't even need to be in this conversation because they wouldn't be able to they wouldn't be able to hold it down. They cannot confront real evil, and that's another problem. And this fiction of law thing is the evil protecting itself. That's what this is. This is evil protecting itself. So these assumptions are of an innocent or even beneficial character and are made for the advancement of the ends of justice. So do you see, they keep going back to, well, we're doing this for the interest of justice. We're doing this for the purposes of justice. We're doing this to the advancement of the ends of justice. So what they're saying is that they are willing to convict people of imaginary crimes for the sake of justice. That's what they're telling you here. Okay? This is what they're doing. They will destroy people's lives because of the word justice. And we could look up justice and see what it means in here too. I think we should do that. But let's finish looking at this fiction of law thing. All right, they secure this end chiefly by the extension of procedure from cases to which it is applicable to other cases to which it is not strictly applicable. Now that is a great thing right there. See, now they're telling you that they're using case law in order to damage the people using fiction of law. This is why you get these guys on TikTok. The guys on TikTok that tell you, oh, the courts disagree with you. Those guys know about this. They're agents, and they're purposely manipulating using this fiction of law doctrine in order to convince people who are kind of on like the, I don't know, maybe this is true, maybe it's not true. But they're using this doctrine right here to push people over the edge to go, no. See, there's no court cases. He's right. They don't recognize it. Well, that's what they're doing. They secure this and chiefly by the extension of procedure from cases to which it is applicable. So there's times where it applies, right? Like the driver's license, for example. If you're towing a car, well, guess what? You need a driver's license to do that because you're getting paid. The tow truck driver needs a driver's license. That's why he's called a driver, right? He's one employed. So the driver, the tow truck driver, needs to actually have a license to do that because he's operating in commerce, okay? So they will take that, right? That's the case that's applicable, and they'll do it to other cases which it is not strictly applicable. You see how they're doing that? Now they stretched it out, okay? They're taking a rubber band and stretching it. They're turning this fiction of law. This fiction of law is a rubber band, right? It can be manipulated and it's malleable. It can be moved around, okay? It's a piece of rubber, okay? So now they're saying, well, we're going to utilize this. And you see this with prosecutors all the time, right? Or these other attorneys. Well, they'll like jam in case law into their paperwork to prove their point, even though when you go read the court cases, has nothing to do with the actual case that's on hand. And you can always call them out for that. Go, well, I noticed that this prosecutor citing all these court cases, those are all irrelevant to this actual situation in front of us. Bang, shut it down. He's equating everything to being the same. That sounds like psychosis to me. When you think everything is the same thing, that's psychotic. Think about it. If you think a knife and a glass of orange juice is the same thing, people are going to think you're crazy. That's all insanity is just not being able to tell between differences of things. All right. So people go, oh, insanity is very complicated. No, it's not. It's not complicated at all. It's just you think that one thing is something else. That's it. That's all insanity is. All right. But that's what they're doing here is they're using insanity and just trying to make it sound very, very convincing and logical. Right. Well, this is what this judge said in this case, and this is what this judge said in this case. Those cases are not this one. This is a different situation. All right. And the ground of inapplicability being some difference of an immaterial character. So they'll say, well, the difference is immaterial, right? So this is the game that they're playing. This is the stuff that they're using. When you study their stuff, this is how you gain power and control over these people. Okay, because you know their game, you know how they're playing the game, and you know what they're doing, right? The reason why people lose these court cases all the time is because of this little doctrine right here. Fictos legis nemium, but I don't know how to say that. I tried. All right, a fiction of law injures no one. And that's the thing. As long as you're not proving that you've been injured by this fiction of law, they will continue they will continue operating that fiction of law. But the moment that fiction of law hurts you and you can prove it, well, that's when you win your court case. Okay. That's it right there. But until you do that, you're going to lose. Okay. But that's the rule, right? That's a legal maximum. A fiction of law injures no one. Once it does, now you can go after the fiction of law. I'll let you draw your own conclusions to how to do that. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and explain how to do that. I want you guys to think for yourself. Okay. If you're going to be free, you have to think freely, right? Freedom does not come from some other man. Okay. It comes from within. Like, I can show you this stuff, but you're going to have to think with this information. If you can't think with this information, then you got to just keep going with it. All right. Make up examples, do things like, you know, make up examples of this, see how it could be this way, see how it could not be this way. Okay. Now, after this, I think it was after this edition, they moved everything to legal fiction. So all that stuff is like legal fiction or understood to be legal fiction now. Okay. Rather than, oh, my phone's not charging, huh? Okay. There we go. Got to keep my phone charged. Okay. So, anyone have any questions about this legal fiction thing? Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, all non-positive law is fiction of law, by the way. It's all legal fiction, non-positive law, because it was never actually enacted, so it's not law. It's non-positive law is not real law because it was never enacted. So, in Title 26, by the way, just so everyone knows, non-positive law. So that's why I don't have to pay taxes. They can't make it positive law either. All right, it's just the IRS code is just too big, and there's too much stuff in there, and there's too many unconstitutional things within the IRS code. Too many unconstitutional things, so they can't actually make it positive law. Joe, how does one get out of jury duty? See, now this is the thing. This is really easy. All right, all you gotta do when you show up for jury duty is tell them that you are a big supporter of jury nullification, and then you can't wait to teach everybody else about jury nullification, so that way the people can get their power back, and we can thus be in charge and get rid of all these bogus laws that are disgusting on the books. I'm ready for it. Are you ready for it? And they're going to kick you right out, and they're going to remove your name from the jury rolls. Okay, you'll never be called in again. But my problem with jury, people trying to avoid it, is that same thing. The thing that will get you kicked out of jury duty is the one thing that we really need to start implementing in our society. Okay? Jury nullification is very, very powerful. What jury nullification does is it stops the state from utilizing laws that the people just don't agree with. Okay? So, um, pull that up real quick. Jury nullification. I hear you on there clicking away. I don't know if you know you're unmuted, but you are. That'd be Steve. Unless you had something you wanted to say. Well, then that's something. No jury nullification in here, huh? They got rid of it. They're like, no, 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 no more of that. Let's get rid of that completely. Jury nullification, jury. It's probably not. We'll have to go to an early one. Jury instructions, jury list. It should be right in there, right after jury of matrons. It's not there. Gee, that's weird. Yeah, let's go to Blackwell's fourth edition. All right, maybe we'll find it in here. Possibly. So jury unregistering the vote could take you out of jury duty. That might be true in some states. In some states, they just use like if your name is on uh, utility, then they put you on the jury automatically just by utilities. That's how they do it in New York City anyway. Mm-hmm. Look it up. No, I'm not BSing you. All right, jury nullification. No, not here either. Boy, these guys are hiding this one, aren't they? Well, it is what it is. What are you going to do? But jury nullification is it's an important part. So when people ask me that, I'm kind of conflicted because most of the time, the stuff you're going to be in a jury in is not going to do anything for you. Like it's not going to change. Like most of the time, people in a jury for like robbery, murder stuff, cases like that, like serious actual crimes. And of course, you're not going to use jury nullification to nullify the laws, right? Um, because then what are you going to be doing? You know, like, well, murder's legal now. No, that's horrible. You don't want to do that. So that's a problem with the jury nullification thing because most of the court cases you're going to be involved in as a juror, it says you have to be a U.S. citizen. Well, just write to them, tell them you're not a U.S. citizen. You know, I did. That's how I got off. I was like, I just sent them a letter. They came back and said, well, you're not a U.S. citizen, so you can't do jury duty. I said, oh, shucks. Right. But that's the problem is that most of those trials that you would be a juror for it's not going to change any of the laws that you'd be interested in getting changed, like property taxes or the driver's license stuff. So, it doesn't really work or taxes, right? I'll tell you though, if I had to go to court for taxes, man, I'd definitely get a trial by jury. And one of the first things I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the jury and go, jury nullification. They won't tell you what that stuff is. And I'm going to tell you right now that you can nullify the laws as the jury. Because you can say, I'm not guilty by jury nullification. You nullify the laws. Meaning that those laws are invalid based off the Constitution. I'm going to prove to you guys that it is. And I'm going to show you the only provision in the Constitution that makes it legal. And that's why the IRS has never bothered me, okay? Because probably, I don't know if they would know I would do that, but that's what I would do. All right, so let's see, what's this? I had a question about a civil court case I'm dealing with, appearance fees and clerk rejecting file. Okay, so if the clerk is rejecting your filing, you just call the FBI and report the crime. It's a crime. So just say, hey, I'd like to report a crime. And you just tell them, here's the crime, here's the clerk, here's the court, this is where it was, this is the case number, all right? And tell them that the clerk is refusing to put in your information to the court case. And you can also do an injunction with the Supreme Court of your state and write to them, letting them know that this lower court is now banned from doing anything and barred from doing any action until the Supreme Court rules on the fact that you're not allowed to file paperwork into your court case. Okay, so they have to get a viable reason why you're not allowed to put any kind of paperwork into your court case. Okay, and the Supreme Court's going to be over that, and they're going to be watching it from above. So they're going to have to rule on that, which means that the case can't move forward until the Supreme Court makes a ruling on the injunction. Okay, or you could do a writ of prohibition and do the same thing. Okay, but that's the whole idea. But I would definitely do the injunction or the writ of prohibition with the Supreme Court of the state, and I would contact the FBI and say I'd like to report a crime and report the clerk. It's the clerk doing it, so it's the clerk that's doing. Don't report the judge. Don't report report the clerk. Let them know that they're the ones that are they're overextending their authority. Any files you have to pay to make a difference. Any files you have to pay if that makes a difference. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You have to reformat your question. I mean, you could do forms for free, and then you can do ones you pay for, but I don't think that's going to make a difference. I don't know. Congratulations. Anyway, we're going to talk about important things. But let's see, does Title 26 apply to federal employees as well? It applies to all federal and state government employees. Okay, anyone that works for state, local, or federal government, Title 26 applies to because they're employees. So, anytime you file paperwork on a case that you're the defendant, you have to pay to file anything. No, you don't have to do that. If they tell you you have to pay, there's a pauperous, what is it called? Like parium pauperous. I can't say it right, but basically you just plead that you don't that you're broke. Just tell them I'm broke. Isn't there like a thing I can do to curtail the filing fees, and they'll give you something for that. Especially if you're in a civil case and you're getting sued by a company and you're like, I don't have any money, obviously, or else I would have paid. So can I not be charged for this? They have to give you a way to do that without paying the filing fee, which is BS, the filing fees. You're already in a court case. What are they going to make you pay money to add something to the court case? You see, these guys, they don't care. They just care about money. All right, that's all they care about. All right. So let's see, what is this? I had a couple questions about court case I'm dealing with. Is that the same guy? That's the same dude. Pick a platform. Inform a pauperous. Thank you. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you're fine. I'm just like, huh? Huh? That's the same guy. You got the same colors and everything on TikTok and YouTube. That's funny. It sounds like everyone is acting in their person. Don't they own the person? No, most people don't own the person. If you owned the person, okay, um, then you would be coming in as the owner or the party of interest, right? Most people don't own it because they don't do the assumed name. If you go get the assumed name now, I've done it a couple of ways. Did the Minnesota one, right? I made my own, like a common law assumed name, okay? And I did one in the state. In the state I'm in New Jersey, it's called a trade name. So I went and got the New Jersey trade name for the name. Um, so I did it three ways. Common law one, I think, was the best one. Okay. That one I'm not going to go into details about, but it's basically you use the territorial laws to create the assumed name. That's how that works, right? So when the statutes are in conflict, it always goes back to territorial law. That's how those things work. Okay. And the territorial law would be the original laws. Okay. The statutes are not laws. I'm going to show you this. All right. We're going to go, let's go to, yeah, we'll go here. This is going to be weird for a second for everybody, but hang with me for a second here. All right. We're going to go to New Jersey statutes. Yeah, let's do that. New Jersey statutes. Go to here. Okay. And I'm going to show you guys something. Now, acts, laws, and statutes. Well, it says laws and statutes. Okay, now this is something interesting. You guys need to see this. All right. This is what these you get these like butt heads on TikTok that will laugh at this. But I mean, it's written right here. Okay. And you got to find it in your state because every state has this. Okay. And first, you know what? Before I show that, let's go here. Let's go back to black laws. I'm going to show you guys something. This is important. So let's go here. We're going to go here. We're going to go. No, enacting clause. All right. And look what it says here. That part of a statute, okay, which declares its enactment and serves to identify it as an act or identify it as an act of legislation proceeding from the proper legislative authority. Various formulas are used for this clause. Okay, such as being enacted by the people of the state of Illinois represented in the General Assembly, be enacted by the state and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. The General Assembly do enact a section of a statute denouncing an offense is sometimes spoken of as an enacting clause. Okay, so this enacting clause, right, has to be part of that statute in order for it to be valid and proof or identifying it as from proper legislative authority. So if it doesn't have proper legislative authority, okay, then how do you know it's valid? Now here's the thing. Now this is what pisses these guys off, right? Because when you get a traffic ticket, what does the cop write on there? He writes a statute, doesn't he? He puts a statute that you violated on there. You go, oh, okay, yeah. Well, and then you get all the attorneys. Let's see, that's law. That's the law. That's the law. That's the law. Okay, all right. Well, cool. That's the law. All right. You know what? Let's do this. Let's go to. I'm just using New Jersey because I know where everything is. It's easier for me to find it. Let's go to motor vehicles. Let's go here. Let's start the first one. I don't see an enacting clause in here. Do you guys see an enacting clause in here? This is the very first part. Words and phrases defined. I don't see one. All right, let's go back to here. Let's see if we can find an enacting statute. All right, we're going to find this thing. I know it's in the New Jersey Constitution. Let's just take a look at the New Jersey Constitution and do it that way. Because it's in here. Okay. Oh, I just passed it. Okay. So it says right here, the laws of this state shall begin in the following style. Be it enacted by the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey. Okay, so in New Jersey, in the Constitution, this is under the legislative part, right? Section 4 or Section 7. This is under Article 4, legislative. So not every state has in their Constitution, but every state has it's written somewhere in one of the statutes or codes or something like that, what the laws, what the enacting clause is for that state. Okay. And it says the laws of the state shall begin the following style. Be it enacted by the Senate and General Assembly of New Jersey. Cool. Now that we know that, where is it in this? Let's see. Let's go. Well, it's not here, is it? Effective enactment. Okay. What is this? No. No. Yeah, see, they're saying, well, if any part here, they're covering their asses. If we deem this one part unconstitutional, the rest of it's not. Fuck you. All right, so let's go to Title 39. This is motor vehicle statutes. So let's say you're in New Jersey, you drive it around, you get stopped by a cop, and he gives you like 3 tickets, right? You go, okay, great. And they're going to be under Section 39. They're all Title 39 violations, right? And your state, it's going to be whatever it is. All right. So let's say you go, okay, great. Let's say they do, let's pick, by the way, I'll show you, see certain vehicles exempted from this chapter. I've used this before and they were telling me, we don't apply that in here. I'm like, oh, you guys don't apply the New Jersey statutes in the court while applying the New Jersey statutes in the court. And the judge, didn't like that very much. Like that. They adjourned for the day, and then I got a letter saying I didn't have to come back in. That's what ended up happening, because they couldn't, But this is the exemption. Every state has an exemption, right? Automobile fire engines, such propelling vehicles that are neither used for conveyance of persons for hire, pleasure of business, nor the transportation of freights, right, are accepted from the provisions of this chapter. Great, good to know. And then they tell you all this stuff like licensing motor vehicles for transportation of passengers for hire. See, they tell you this stuff, But where's this enacting clause? I don't see one in here. So how do we know that this is law? I don't see law here. Where's the proper legislative authority? Let's see. No, it's not in here either. Why is that, people? Where is this? How do we know that this is correct? And then if they're applying this statute, the statute itself does not have the enacting clause, meaning that the statute is actually not properly enacted, is it? So it's not enacted. And this is the very, very, very beginning, right? This is it. Where is it? Maybe it's the next part. Department continued. No. No. It's not in there. We know the enacting clause for New Jersey be enacted by the Senate and General Assembly of the state of New Jersey. So, where is it? Not here. Now we're talking about directors, the Division of Motor Vehicles. So there is no, so when they cite you on these statutes, the statutes are not law. The statutes are evidence. Look, the evidence of laws down here. See, these are the laws down here, right? Because it comes from these acts. These are all amendments to acts, right? In fact, I found these things go back even earlier than that sometimes. Like 1944 is the earliest of this one. But I found in some of these, it goes way, 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 way earlier. All the way to like 1912 or something like that with some of these, or 1907, I think I found with some of the things. But those have enacting clauses, and guess what? It's all commerce. They tell you in there. Like the way they tell you in here, but you got to really dig around for it. Whose job is to prove it is enacted? The prosecution's job. You know, you say, can you show me where this was properly enacted? And then they tell you, oh, it was enacted in this act. Well, how the hell are you citing a statute? Was the statute enacted? Then how are you charging me for a statute? It's acts. Look, they even tell you in the state constitution what's law. Okay. All right. Let's see. All bills, right? In New Jersey, bills are what the laws are. Okay. That's what they use for laws. They become laws, the bills, and then it's what do you call it? Acts. No. Okay. Property shall be. Don't move to New Jersey if you don't like paying property taxes, because the property taxes are through the roof here. All right, they're treating property taxes like, fuck, it's like fucking ridiculous. I don't know why anyone even lives here. I think everyone should just move out of New Jersey for like a decade, right? Except for the government, the people who work for the government, and watch how everything changes. Everything would be different in about 2 years. In about 2 years, all this BS laws on the property tax, all that shit would be gone. Just leave the state, but don't ever come back. The New Jersey is a shithole. All right, it sucks. I mean, there's the people here are cool. Some of them, not when they're in a car though. Anyway, it's a whole different thing. All right. Anyway, so you guys get this. The statutes are not law because they do not have the enacting clause. Okay. So because they don't have the enacting clause, they are not law. So when you go into court, that is fiction of law. Because for the purpose of justice, they're going to maintain that the statutes are law. So they're telling you right there that this is fiction of law. Okay? This whole thing is fiction of law. And they're telling you that because the statutes are not enacted, right? They're like a private compilation of the acts. When they cite you on those statutes rather than the act itself, that they're operating off of fictional law. And if you can prove that that fiction of law has caused injury to you, that's how you're going to win your case. You have no other way to win your case in a place that's operating under fiction of law. All right. So people can do things like, invoke common law or equity into a courtroom. And when you do, especially with equity, once you invoke equity into a courtroom, that's it. All the statutes are gone. All that stuff is erased, and it's all about fairness now of the situation. Okay. How long does the clerk usually hold a motion before putting into the case file? They should put it in right away. If they're holding it, you go down there and, like, hey, what are you doing? This needs to get in. Put it in. What are you waiting for? Like, just tell them, I put a motion in. Are you going to put it in? If they don't, well, call the FBI. It's the same story. Oh, they didn't put it in. Oh, they didn't put my motion in. Well, call the FBI. Right? Because what is that? That's federal crime. Okay, what are they doing? One thing is that you gave them paperwork and they're not filing it. That's illegal. That's a crime under 18 U.S. Codes 2076. Okay. Yeah. Problem is, I put things in, and then all of a sudden they seal my cases. So I guess that's a good thing of sorts, but it kind of sucks because then you can't use that case later on, right? So that's the problem with it. But yeah, you can do that. I would just go down to the clerk, say, hey, I'm just going to ask this one time to just make sure that my paperwork shows up in the court docket. And if they go, oh yeah, we'll get to that. Say, well, okay, well, you got till the end of the day, because if I wake up tomorrow and it's not on the docket, I'm calling the FBI. All right, I'm not going to be a party to a crime. I'm not going to be an accessory to a crime, so I'm going to report you to the FBI, as I should, because criminal acts should be reported. And because you're a clerk of a court, I'm going to report you to the FBI, because the state's going to protect your ass. And we all know that. We know that the state's going to protect their own people, but the FBI don't give a shit. So that's who I'm calling. Does the right to travel hold up in Minnesota? If you wanted to, like, yeah, of course. Why are people talking to AI? Like, I've talked to AI and I've had some interesting conversations with it, but it triggers. There's a guideline that it has to follow. I almost got this thing to break down on me because it just would not answer questions. Like, are there strict guidelines that you must like adhere to? And it says yes. So the right to I've broken AI to admit that yes, you have the right to travel and that all the driving stuff is all commercial, right? By feeding it the court cases that say that. And it goes, oh, yeah, well, now that you told me about that court case, yeah. So the right to travel extends to every American in the country, and any man, any man, woman in the country, not an American, because anyone who's here on the land is protected under the 14th Amendment, okay? So everybody's protected under that amendment, although the 14th Amendment is like a little, I don't know if I like using that one because those are all civil rights. But you've had the right to travel and use the highways since the inception of the Constitution. And it's been recognized over and over again in peace treaties and stuff like that. So it's all there. It's a liberty. Yeah. Liberty is freedom of movement. So I think, well, you have to pay for that? You have to pay to move? I want to go from this place to this place. Now, if I ask you to do it for me, if I ask someone to do it for me, hey, take me from here to here, and they say, $20, I'll take you there. Okay, I give them $20. That's fair. If I'm going to do it on my own, why the hell am I paying for that? I'm the one doing it, right? But this is the problem. See, people don't understand how the cars are set up in our country, okay? And how they're utilizing trust law to diminish people's rights and abilities and power, okay? They're using trust law to do that, right? Trust law is basically a split of title, okay? When you own something, it's yours, okay? Like I have this, this is a string winder for a guitar. This is mine, right? It's owned by me. It's mine. Nobody's going to deny it. But if I put this into a trust, and I'm the grantor of the trust, it's no longer mine, right? But the title gets split. So the legal title, meaning the name of the owner, goes to the trustee. But the beneficiary of the trust gets equitable title. That means they get to use this thing. But if it breaks or something like that, it's the trustee that has to fix it and make sure it works again. So he has all the responsibility. The beneficiary gets all the benefit. So now look at your car titles and go look at your deeds to your house, and you tell me, is that absolute title? Is that full title? Or is that split? Because if they're using trust language on there like grantee, grantor, right, lien holders, that's on there, then you got, yes, you have split title. Okay. Well, see, now you just made a claim. I bought this for Federal Reserve notes. How do you know? How do you know I bought this for Federal Reserve notes? Do you have evidence? So the trust says the MCO, and you hold the certificate? No. No, I'm talking about just the certificate of title. Forget about the MCO for a second. The MCO, whoever holds that has absolute title. Okay. That is the absolute title. The certificate of title is the split. That is showing the legal owner, right? And the legal owner has all the liability. You know, I've been seeing people say this for years backwards. They're like, well, you have equitable title. You have equitable title. I'm like, you know just enough to get yourself in trouble. That's the problem when you start saying stuff like that. You have legal time. You know what? Let's pull that up too. All right. Let's pull that up. I think it's going to be under equitable ownership. Equitable conversion. Equitable liens, equitable rate of interest. I have it in here. Let's go to 6. Oh, let's go to 9th edition. Maybe 9th edition. Okay. Interest. Beneficial owner. Okay, so equitable owner, beneficial owner under owner. Great. All right, so go to beneficial owner. It's kind of funny. You don't think like O's would have like lots of words, like starting with O, but then you realize there's so many words that start with O. Like, oh, owner, beneficial owner. One recognizing equity as the owner of something because use and title belong to that person, even though legal title maybe may belong to someone else. Okay, so that's a beneficial owner. Okay, so what they're telling you there is that legal title is in someone else, but the beneficial owner, right, has the use of it, especially one for whom property is held in trust. Okay, also termed equitable owner. And now we'll look at legal title. Let's go look at that legal title. See title. Boy, these guys, they like playing games, don't they? Go fish. I still have yet to see anyone win a court case where they get ticketed for traveling. Well, you're not paying much attention then, are you? I've seen tons of court cases of that. I don't know where you've been. Probably your algorithm is trying to keep you tied into the system real hard. All right. I've seen tons of court cases where that's happened. I've been a party in those court cases. So you can say that all fucking day long, but I don't give a shit. I was sitting. It just happened to me like 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago, it just happened to me. So keep going on with that. How can I fight a speeding ticket? You take the ticket like this, right? Put a piece of tape on it, and there you go. That's how you fight it. Sorry, I couldn't help it. All right, let's go doing title. I mean, a speeding ticket has all these different circumstances behind it, so it has to. It's really more of like, okay, now we're going to look for legal title, a title that evidences apparent ownership, but does not necessarily signify full and complete title or a beneficial interest. Okay, so legal title shows it's in your name, you got to take care of it, but you don't get the benefits of this thing, right? You can get some of the benefits of it, but you don't get the beneficial interest. Beneficial interest. Yeah, put on those boxing gloves. I mean, if you want to, it depends on how you got the speeding ticket. Was it from a camera? Was it from a cop? A radar gun? Like, what did he use to determine your speed? Did he drive 100 miles an hour to catch up to you and figured you were speeding? Like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's such a variable thing. There's no straight answer for that question, right? It's big variables. And getting pulled over by police is not enough information. So I would need detailed information about the situation in order to tell you how to fight the speeding ticket. What I do, I just put my car on cruise control, and then I don't have to worry about it. Even though I go like 10 over anyway, I don't give a shit. 10, 15 over. Driving 50 to 30? Were you? I don't think you were. But yeah, that's legal title, and it's not the same. But this is what they're utilizing on everything, right? Go look at your mortgage and stuff like that. You're going to have trust language on there, like grantor, grantee, right? Trustee, right? Beneficiary, right? You're going to have that stuff on there, right? Can you guys still see my thing? I'm not showing that it's on here. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Black was 9th. Okay, that was weird. I don't get it. All right. Well, yeah, they're gonna give you yeah, see, here's the thing. The traffic stuff, they're gonna call criminal. They always call it criminal. Okay? But here, let me show you what oh, I see why it does that now. Okay, I see what's happening. I'm going to show you what traffic means. Okay? Because traffic is not what you think it is. Traffic is all commercial. Where did it go? Where's my little thing here? Okay. Traffic. How long do you guys want to go today? I have to apply to be a criminal. Congratulations. You're like, oh yeah, we want to get you in court, so you need to apply to be a criminal, so that way you as a criminal have to confess to us that you're a criminal. And now it'll be easier to get you. Do from here, traffic. Traffic. Commerce. Oh, I gotta do the puzzle piece, hold on. Okay, traffic. Commerce. Trade. Sale or exchange of merchandise. Bills. Money and the like. The passing of goods or commodities from one person to another for the equivalent in goods or money. Okay? The subjects of transportation on a route as persons or goods. The passing to and fro of persons, animals, vehicles, or vessels along a route of transportation as along a street, canal, etc. United States. Okay. So they're telling you it's all commercial. Okay. The subjects of transportation on a route. So what are they telling you? If you're on a route and you're the subject of transportation, that's traffic, right? Most people say traffic is like, like all these cars on the road and everyone's driving real slow because it's all jammed up. Doesn't That's not the definition here. It's all about. So I see that like they go, oh yeah, we're traffic enforcement. Oh, you're enforcing commerce. Is that what you're doing? Transportation, right? That's the traffic thing they're talking about. Ticket, yeah, the ticket is an asset from your trust, but from the trust, it's not yours. Then you gotta stop saying that. It's not yours. Um, 3 days to submit to the clerk. I do not consent. Oh, you know, you can try that. I have a little faith in that working. Um, I've seen people do stuff like that and then get warrants issued against them. So, you can try it, but pay attention to your court case anyway. If you do things like I do not consent, right? Consent is where all law comes from anyway. Without it, there's nothing. Um, okay, so this is the thing. See, this is what I'm talking about. See, you're talking about trust law, but you're not understanding that as the grantor. Okay, there's like we just went over this. The grantor is giving up the rights to the property to a trustee, right? It's out of his hands. It's gone. You could be the grantor all day long. Doesn't mean that you have, if you set up the trust yourself, right? Because they actually did all that. They did everything, right? They fearmonger me. Yeah, they're gonna do that stuff, man. They're gonna fearmonger you because they know that if you weren't here earlier, we talked about the fiction of law thing, and they utilize the fiction of law doctrine to stop my trust. That's if you did a personal setup. The Social Security Administration has made it very clear that those are the trust funds, that they're the trustees. They have a list of trustees, and you're a limited beneficiary under that Social Security account. Okay, so you get limited benefits. Okay, um, so if people understood what the Social Security account actually was, right, or actually is, they would find it really weird when you go to like a bank and you open up a bank account and they say, "Oh, we just need your Social Security number." Like, you want to know my retirement account number? That'd be an awkward moment right there in the bank. They'd be like, "Well, I mean, why do you need my private retirement information to open up a bank account?" Um, nothing is off topic here. How to fight a wage garnishment? It depends on who the garnishment is coming from. You know, so it just depends. It's like it has to be a little more. It has to be a little more specific to the situation. Manumission bond. Yeah, well, I've used the manumission a little differently. But yeah, I heard you say that after reposition, there's a way to get all payment. Yeah, I laid out the process on Rumble. Okay, so it's on Rumble on how to do that. I'm not gonna lay it out on here because TikTok might shut me down, and we don't want that. Yeah, there you go. You started talking about the financial, no, the fiction of law doctrine, fiction of law doctrine. So, where is this? Where is there? Can you list some court cases that were won so we compare our case? Need to say some case law. Ah, yeah, that's a good point. So, like for me, I just beat this in a court like 3 weeks ago, but the court case is sealed. That's the problem with that one. Um, that's the issue with stuff like that. A debt collector, a debt collector is taking money out of your paycheck? Oh, no, no. You sue them right now. I would just sue them, saying, that this is causing irreparable harm. The debt collector actually had no evidence of me having any kind of contract with them in the first place. And now, not only do I need to get back all that was garnished from me, I need to get 3 times the amount and sue them in federal court. Right? Sue them in federal court. They didn't have standing to sue you in the first place because you never had a contract with them, and they used the court to harm you. Do I have a video on that subject? I don't think so. PM me. We'll work out something. We'll work that out privately. All right. Because stuff like that it's always different. You see, the problem is you can't do a video on something like that because each situation is unique. If I do it one way, then I have to do it for a different one. Then I have to do it for a different one. I could end up doing like 1,000 videos because there's 1,000 different ways that could happen. So just hit me up privately. We'll work out something for your situation. Uh, have I ever been able to figure out how to not pay property? Yeah, dude, it's real easy. We just went over this a couple weeks ago, didn't we? Right? On how to not pay property taxes. It's real simple. You just use the state constitution. All right. And if you use the state constitution to not pay property taxes, the state not only will not give you a hard time about it at all, but they'll show you how to do it. They'll even help you. So it's really simple. Just use the state constitution. And there's exceptions in every state for property taxes. So you can utilize any one of those. And once you're off the property tax rolls, right, then would be the time to start doing your all your stuff for like your land patents and allodial title. Because who's going to care? Yeah, farming, there's certain things for farming in certain situations where you wouldn't have to pay property taxes, ministries, 501c, 501, 501 wouldn't have to do it either. There's a bunch of stuff. Some states have homesteading, right? But homesteading's a little because you still have to pay something. They just can't raise it over a certain amount. Yeah, 501 C1A, C1A, 50 C. Wait, I'm getting all mixed up right now. 508 C1A, 501 C3. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I get them mixed up too sometimes because the 508 is a 501, right? They're just it's just a different. It's just that it's not registered, and that they're virtually the same except for that. And usually 508s private foundations are considered to be um, uh, ecclesiastical, right? So that's the only real difference between a 501c3 and a 508c1a is that the 508c1a is supposed to be or is recognized to be ecclesiastical, doesn't have to be, and you don't register them. The 501c3 are registered and they're under public scrutiny. So that's the other thing about them. Okay, public scrutiny. So, that's why you can do a 501c3 and that's okay. Um, but just realize that if you're actually doing things out into the public and utilizing your 501c3 in the public somewhere, it could fall under public scrutiny and all the woke culture will come around and, start trying to cancel you if they don't like something that you did, like, put a white person in your ad or something like that. So watch out for that stuff. Going crazy. I find that fucking hilarious though. You put they put like a white girl in the ad and now everyone's in an uproar. Not everyone, just a couple people, but they're fucking loud about it. Right? I think that's hilarious. Oh no, Rose, you gotta sue them. That's wrong. Debt collector wiped out your entire bank account and took 3 times what was owed. Sue them in federal court for the amount that they took times 3. Okay, you get them back because that's a huge injustice on you. Okay, and that is bad stuff. That's horrible. All right, I tell you what, you private message me. All right, and we'll work out something to help you out with that shit because that is fucked up. That's just horrible. The fact that they got the bank account information without written permission. Well, yeah, because they use the courts to do it. The courts intimidate. Well, the courts are banks, right? So the courts are banks. The courts will have access to all that stuff because they have access to all your information because they the state has all that information because you gave it to them through the DMV. You shared all your private information into a public system. And that is why private and public don't mix. I hope people understand that one. That's why public and private don't mix. Because once you take your private information, they tell you don't share the social security number with anybody. And what do? You go get a driver's license, you put the social security number on there. Why'd you do that? They told you not to do that. And if you go to the DMV and they say, well, we need your social security number, you go, I don't have one. You go, well, you need to put it in there. Well, I can't give you something that I don't have. It's not mine. It's not mine to give out. It says right on the card it's not yours. Right? That's not your card. That's not your property. Can I sue the credit card company that is garnishing my wages? Absolutely. I encourage the suing of these debt collectors, right, that are garnishing your wages, credit card companies that are garnishing your wages. It's insanity to even think, right, that these guys have any kind of right to take food out of your mouth and out off the plates of your family. So that way their billion-dollar company can maintain its status quo. You were already an investor in the company. When you signed that application, okay, to get that credit card, you issued them a security which they were able to monetize through the Security Exchange Commission, okay? And it instantly went, whatever you put on their books, they multiplied by 10 because they do fractional reserve banking, meaning that you created 10 times the amount on the books for them to utilize for other people on loans, right? They're not actual loans because they don't give you anything. So in actuality, they owe you. And the debt collector's coming along to you saying, oh, you got to pay us, blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. I mean, I could just write a debt collector going, fuck you. You got nothing. You have no firsthand knowledge of anything. I have no contract with your company. If you want to sue me in court, go ahead and sue me in court. And then you guys are going to pay me 3 times the amount because I'm going to move it to federal and I'm going to sue you back. Okay, so go ahead and sue me. I will destroy you guys in court because you fuck with the wrong dude. I've written them handwritten letters and they've dropped all the like debt collectors. I think I'm on a list with debt collectors because they just will not. I could put anything into a debt collection and it'll never come to me. So I think they put me on a list or something. Yes, they're brokers. That's right. That's what they are. They are brokers. So you know, that's what they're doing. You know, when you go and give them that security, they get they turn that into 10 times the amount because it's fractional reserve banking, and you become an issuer. You're an issuer, and you become an investor in the company. So you're entitled to get paid back on the issuing of securities since you issued it for them. But because you never claimed to be an issuer, you lost. So you have to know how to claim to being an issuer. Broker. Yeah, you become, instead of become the broker, you become broker. How do I reach you on Rumble? Well, if you go to my profile here on TikTok, there's a Linktree link, and if you click on the Linktree link, you're going to get a list of things, and on there, one of them is the Rumble channel. You can find that. All right. The depths of the deception is mindful. It sure is. I mean, that's just crazy that they freaking took 3 times. Well, it just shows you, like, look at her situation, right? Yeah, I'm just saying, I think I'm on the list. I don't know. They don't, I haven't been bothered by them in years. I want to get on the list. Do you have videos teaching on debt collection? Yeah, I've made videos on Rumble on how to do that. I took a picture of one of my handwritten letters on, hold on, you know what? I'll find it on Rumble. You can look at the pictures. Let's see. Go to Rumble. Debt. Let's do that. Let's see. How to handle debt. Well, I found that real quick. Okay. Okay, let's do that because apparently something is wrong here. Try again. How to handle a debt collector. See, that's the letter. That's my handwriting. So, well, okay, here's another point. Now you can go look these up if you want to look some of these up. Now we don't need to hear me talk. You got enough of me. All right. To whom it may concern, since no one bothered to sign this letter and take any responsibility for this claim, I can deem this claim fraudulent. It is so for a few reasons. This is a trust action. By taking my Social Security into the hospital was given consent by the beneficiary of the trust to access the trust for payment. Any additional payment is double dipping and illegal. Per Public Law 73-10, the U.S. Treasury is to handle all public debts due to the elimination of gold coinage and the gold clauses in contracts. Number 3, you purchased alleged debt, which in itself discharged the debt. But then you claim the debt and it becomes a tax write-off for you. Gee, I wonder why they didn't want to bother with me again. You can't make any claim of equal consideration, right? There we go. And thus have zero legitimacy to call for a tender payment. Okay, according to UCC 8-102, endorsement means a signature that alone or accompanied by other words is made on an instrument. I love that one. UCC 8-102, right? That one means that your signature has all the power. Okay, and it means a signature that alone or accompanied by other words is made on a security certificate in registered form or in a separate document for the purpose of assigning, transfer, or redeeming the security or granting a power to assign, transfer, or redeem it. Which means my original wet ink signature is worth the value on the form I signed with said hospital on the day I signed it. It itself became a security and has the same monetary value as written on it as if it were Federal Reserve notes. My signature paid for the services received as proof you bought said debt because it has value. Gee, I wonder why they never wrote back to me after this one. All right, and just in case if you're wondering if that's really my handwriting or not, I got a little book here. I wrote some stuff in. And there you go. There's my handwriting. Okay. It's me. Okay. Registered being the key. That's right. Yeah, registered. So that's why I think that's why those guys don't want to talk to me. So lonely over here now. No debt collectors writing to me. It's horrible. How will I ever live? But yeah, that was just a couple of them. That was just the first page. I think I wrote like 2 or 3 pages of this, something like that. Yeah, the form I filled out with my okay, whatever. I did something else there. I wonder where is this thing? Photo. Maybe I still have it on my computer. I'll pull it up. Let's see. Photo. We'll go underscore 2023. Maybe. Is this it? No, that's not it. I'm looking. Nah, it's not on this. It's on an old. It's on my older computer. That's probably why. Too bad. Oh well. Wait a second. Maybe it's on Telegram. We could do that. Let's see if I might have shared that in Telegram. Let's try that. Photo. No. But then I'll just pull it up here. So I thought I shared it in Telegram a few years ago. Anyway, I'm searching for that handwritten letter I sent to a debt collector. At least back then I was smart enough to take a picture of it before I sent it out, but I never made a copy. It was in 2023. So I have to go back. Gotta go back. Anyway, while I'm doing that, anyone have anything they want to say? We got a bunch of people here on this Zoom call with me. Anyone want to unmute and say something? Nothing? Nobody's got anything to say? Wow. Okay. I'm sad. All right. Stop being shy, people. Let's see. Oh, heading there. Oh, yeah. I know you'll say something. um, but I have it set up so that way everyone on TikTok will be able to hear you talk too. So, like, I don't want to talk on YouTube. No way. I understand. Let's see what else. So let me check. And this was a letter I just wrote out of frustration and anger because they just pissed me off. It wasn't even like I didn't even really sit down and think about it. I just wrote it down and sent it out. I was like, wait, let me take a picture real quick before I send this thing out. I'm not seeing it, but I haven't given up. Nope. Nah. Maybe I never shared it. I thought I did, but I guess I didn't. Oh well. Too bad. Zoom being stupid. Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Have I ever been successful signing across ticket no contract within 3 days? There's other ways that I've done it that have worked, right? You know, you do UCC 3-501 and then UCC 2-207 and you send it back registered mail and you just write that on the envelope and they usually just they'll just dismiss it from that. But that works because presentment you can with a presentment you don't have to accept the presentment, but you can do it in a way where it doesn't dishonor the instrument. And when you do it that way, you have to use the applicable law. The applicable law is UCC 2-207, and then that works unless you have like a CDL. You shouldn't do that. CDL guys have to they waive their right to do that stuff, but a regular driver's license technically has not done that. So
Greetings, Joe.
morning.
So did you like that last TikTok I sent you with that woman trying to tell the court about the maritime admiralty kidnapping?
Oh yeah. That was interesting. They didn't like her.
Nope, they didn't.
Yeah, they don't like that stuff, right? Because what they're doing is they're actually manipulating the provisions of the Constitution in order to stop people from being able to defend themselves correctly inside a courtroom, right? And when you start talking about Admiralty, Maritime, they go freaking nuts.
Hmm. They sure do.
Yeah, they don't like that. So they go nuts because there is Admiralty courts, right? There are Maritime courts, but because they blended them all together, they can modify jurisdiction as they feel like it, and that's wrong. But they don't want people to know that. What would you say here? It says this in UCC 207 the same? No, UCC 2-207 is not the same as UCC 1-308. It's not the same thing.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
2-207. We're talking about UCC 2, which is sales, and UCC. You know you're not. You know you're not muted, right, Roxanne?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine if you want to talk. That's what you're here for, right? You have something you want to. No, she don't want to talk. That's okay. All right, let's see.
That's why that video of yours, what was what's the last one you put up on Rumble? The something of law, the
Fiction of law.
fiction of law. Thank you.
That's that.
That's why that's so important.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we talked about it already this morning, but it is really important. And I think people don't realize how important that doctrine actually is. And this is why the court system is so screwed up, because they're using, wow, we need to have justice. Oh, we never looked up justice. That was the thing we were talking about doing. Let's go look that up. Let's go see what they mean by justice. What do they mean when they say justice? I'd like to know. Let's go look that up. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. Someone's probably sitting there going, finally, man, I've been waiting forever. Just us. Just us. Right? That's what they mean by it. Just. Oh, and of course, it's not just a simple, straight definition, is it? In common law, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just read all this. We're not going to do any evaluation. But then after we hear all this, we're going to figure out which justice applies to modern America. In common law, the title given in England to the judges of the King's Bench and of the Common Pleas, and in America to the judges of the Supreme Court of the United States and of the appellate courts of many of the states. It is said that this word in its Latin form, justia, was properly applicable only to the judges of common law courts, while the term judex designated the judges of ecclesiastical or other courts. The same title, right? The same title is also applied to some judicial officers of the lowest rank in the jurisdiction, such as police justices and justices of the peace. All right. A term used in the United States and England to designate judicial officers and magistrates of every grade. In feudal law, jurisdiction, judicial cognizance of causes or offenses. High justice was the jurisdiction or right of trying crimes of every kind, even the highest. This was a privilege claimed and exercised by the great lords or barons of the Middle Ages. Low justice was jurisdiction of petty offenses. In jurisprudence, the constant and perpetual disposition to render every man his due. Render every man his due. The conformity of our actions and our will to the law. The conformity of our actions and our will to the law. So you got to conform your, I can't help it. I have to look at that one. The conformity, you have to conform your actions and will to the law. So who's sovereign in that case under justice? I'm trying to do this on commutative justice is that which should govern contracts. It consists in rendering to every man the exact measure of his dues without regard to his personal worth or merits. See, all you people in those debt collecting things, this is something you can utilize. Placing all men on equality. Distributive justice is that which should govern the distribution of rewards and punishments. It assigns to each the rewards with his personal merit or services deserved, or the proper punishment for his crimes. It does not consider all men equally deserving or equally blameworthy, but discriminates between them, observing a just proportion and comparison. This distinction originated with Aristotle. In the most extensive sense of the word, justice differs little from virtue, for it includes within itself the whole circle of virtues. Yet the common distinction between them is that which considered positively and in itself is called virtue, when considered relatively and with respect to others as the name of justice. But justice, being in itself a part of virtue, is confined to simply good or evil and consistent man's taking such a proportion of them as he ought. Equity and justice are substantially equivalent terms, if not synonymous. I don't think I agree with that. Um, all right. Have a good day. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Under constitutional provisions guaranteeing a right to obtain justice, the justice to be administered by courts is not an abstract justice as conceived of by the judge, but justice according to law, or to, as a phrase in Constitution, reformably to the laws. All right. So interesting. They don't really ever tell you what justice is in here, do they? All right. You know, they kind of tell you, but it's not, there's no straightforward answer here. So under constitutional provisions, you have a right to justice, right? You have the right to obtain justice, but the judge doesn't have to conceive, he's not allowed to conceive what justice is, except according to law. Conformability to the law, conformably to the laws. Oh, very cool. Yeah. Well, if he's not live anymore, tell him to come over here and join us over here. But yeah, I appreciate that. So this is not doing it for me. I don't know, but this sounds pretty crappy, right? But here's the one. This is the one thing that really kind of sticks out to me: the conformity of our actions and our will to the law. They call that justice. And that's like in the face, like that's the whole fictional law thing right there. Well, you have to conform your actions, right, and your will to the law. So I have to conform to the law, right? That's conformity. Well, I would like to corrode that conformity because no, my will does not bend to any law. Okay, my will is my will. And, you know, as a sovereign, right, the law is not something I conform to. It conforms to me. Okay. And that's how that works. We're the people. We're the ones with the power. We have political power. We have natural rights. And those laws must conform to those things. It should not be the other way around. Go ahead. I see you got your hand raised.
Okay. I was listening to another creator last night, and he said that he treats everything that he does as a contract and as a trust. So, like if he pulls up to a stop sign, he thinks, now who's the grantor, who's the trustee, and who's the beneficiary of this transaction? And it kind of blew my mind. I'm like, I'm in this trust community with Joe, and I can't answer it because I'm controlling the vehicle, the automobile, but why can't I go through the process of, I'm at the stop sign, and if someone claims that I didn't stop at that stop sign, then they're going to offer me the ticket. And I'm not going to accept the ticket because I know I stopped, but I have no proof because I don't have a dash cam. So can you walk me through that type of a process, Joe? Who would be the grantor, the trustee, and the beneficiary in that scenario?
Well, you get stopped by a cop. He gives you a ticket, right? And then you go to court and pay the fine.
No, I wouldn't pay the fine.
Let's say you're a normal. Let's say
okay. If I was normal, okay.
you're normal. You're a U.S. citizen. What are you going to do? All right.
The driver's license is a U.S. citizen. I am not.
Right. You got that right. Yeah. So the U.S. citizen is the driver's license. So in that scenario, okay, this is actually, it's under, this is contract law, right? Which trust law falls into. Okay. So you have the cop who offers you the ticket. Okay. You take the ticket. Now you have a fiduciary duty. That makes you the trustee. Okay. And you go to I was going to say the bank. You go to the court, same thing. You go to the court and you give them money because they're the beneficiary. Right? The beneficiary gets the equitable ownership of the instrument. Right? They get to get paid on it. Equitable interest. So they get paid on that. You're the trustee. You're the one that's obligated because you have legal title. They have equitable title over that. But the state is the grantor, and the state is delegating its authority to the cop in order to make you a trustee. But it's the state that's the grantor, because It's the state
Thank you for
versus
clarifying that.
yeah. You're welcome. That's how that works, right? You just trace it back. Well, who got paid? Well, the beneficiary got paid. Meaning that who paid the beneficiary? The trustee. Oh, trustee pays the beneficiary. So how did the trustee get assigned trustee? Through the cop, right? The cop is what gave him trusteeship. So that means the cop is actually the grantor. But in the case of the state, the cop is only an agent for the principal, right? Under the laws of agency, the cop is only doing what he's delegated to do by the state. So it's the state that's the grantor. And he's just an agent for the grantor. What if you got arrested? Well, if you got arrested, I mean, yeah, it's still the same thing. Doesn't matter, because who's gonna benefit at the end? At the end, it's going to be the state that benefits, because if you go to jail and you got to do all this work and the slave labor, right? Then who gets paid for that? The state gets paid and the prison gets paid, right? Especially if it's a private prison, right? They're going to get paid. The state's going to get paid, and you're the trustee doing the job, so that way the beneficiary get paid. It's an irrevocable trust because the grantor is the trustee, and you're the trustee. Oh, I'm sorry. The grantor is the beneficiary. Excuse me, I said that wrong. The grantor is the beneficiary, and then you are the trustee. So you got to do the work. And these guys have got this whole thing down set so well that in the freest country in the world, we got the most people in prison, right? Because the justice system is screwed up, right? It's an injustice system because it's inverted. Injustice
Hey,
system.
Joe, go back and look at Lindsay. She's wanting to know about a plea agreement. She should know you don't take a plea agreement.
Who's saying that?
LYNSEY on TikTok.
LEY. Don't do plea agreements. So, okay, that's the thing. Most like 98% of all convictions happen from plea deals. Okay, because they want to scare you, and then they're going to say, "Oh, you don't want to take the plea deal? Well, we're going to tack on more time." And I say, "Why are you upset about that? Why are you so upset with me wanting to defend myself? I can't tell you what to do. Okay, you have to make the determination what's going to be best for you, depending on what the situation is, right? And how much you really know. If you don't know enough information and you can't stand on your own on the information, and you need help, you have to determine that. Okay, I can't make any of those decisions for you. It's your life and it's your future, and only you can really make the right choice for yourself. Okay, if you want to take them to trial, right, I would suggest doing a trial by jury. Do not settle for a jury trial. A jury trial is basically the jury sits there, and then the judge explains everything to the jury afterwards. Oh, this means that, blah, 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 this. A trial by jury means that the jury decides based off of everything. But if you do a trial by jury, you better know your shit, because those the jurors that they're going to have in there, they're not going to understand a damn thing. And they're going to paint you as a sovereign citizen and a domestic terrorist, and that you're not a trained attorney, so you don't know jack shit about what you're talking about because you don't know how to interpret the laws correctly. And when they say, like they said that to me, "Oh, you're not a lawyer, so you can't interpret the laws correctly." I go, "Well, you called it an interpretation. You're saying the laws are interpretive?" Yes. So there's a right way to interpret and a wrong way? Yes. So then there is no interpretation of law then. Then the law is what it is. Because if it has to be interpreted a certain way, that means there is no interpretation. It's either this way or there is no way. So when you say that I'm interpreting the laws incorrectly, you're saying that your opinion is superior to mine, and you have no reason or evidence to prove that your opinion is better than my opinion, other than a degree. And your degree proves really virtually nothing, because you can't define certain words that are written in this text. I'll prove it to you right now. And they don't like that. I've made them try. Well, what does "of" mean in this sentence? Well, I don't know. Then how the hell do you know what the sentence is saying? So you can't interpret it correctly because you don't know what the words mean. I went to law school. Are you an English major? Shut up. Yeah, Carl Lentz. Yeah, he's good. Yeah. But that's the thing, you gotta know how to make these arguments with them, and you gotta be on your toes. Okay. The easiest thing to do is use the nature and cause, right? If you use the nature and cause, right, and you stand on that, that's the easiest way to get out of anything. Okay. Nature and cause, right? All you gotta do, nature. How did I lose that? Nature. No nature. Natural. Natural law. No nature. Okay. The nature and causes of the charges. Okay. This is really simple. Okay. But you better practice this before you go into court. But you just gotta, yeah, that's the Sixth Amendment. In the state constitution, though, it's going to be somewhere else. It's not going to be a Sixth Amendment. It's going to be in Article 1 of the state constitution under the Bill of Rights, because Article 1 is usually the Bill of Rights for the state. And what happens is you go in there and you say, yeah, how are you going to plead today? You say, yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure yet. I just need to know. I need a couple questions answered for me to better ascertain, how I'm going to plead. So is this civil or criminal? And the judge will tell you right off the bat, oh, this is criminal. Let's say it's criminal. They say criminal. Okay. If it's civil, all right, that's civil. Well, now you know it's just about money, right? Article 1, Section 10 of Texas. There you go. So Clint's paying attention. Good job. All right. So you go, oh, this is criminal. Okay, thank you very much. Now, under the Constitution, it does say that there are two types of criminal jurisdictions, exclusively. There isn't a third or anything else. All right. Now, is this under common law or is this under Admiralty Maritime? They're not going to answer that question. They won't do it. They might say, well, this is statutory. Someone just did that the other day. They just showed me they did that in court, and the judge was like, it's statutory. It's statutory. And they go, I would look at the judge like, why are you so upset? What are you getting upset? I'm just asking some questions. Am I not allowed to know the nature and cause of the charges being brought against me? Well, yeah, you're allowed to know that. So why are you getting upset about that? I don't see a plausible reason for someone to get upset for asking a question. How dare you ask me questions? It's your courtroom. You should know the answer to these questions, right? I mean, don't talk to the judge like that because they'll just throw you in jail. Mine said we aren't lost at sea. I'd say, I didn't say that. When did I say we were lost at sea? I'm just asking for you to ascertain, right, what jurisdiction you intend to try me under. Is it going to be under common law or admiralty? Or we're now lost at sea? I've never seen anything about lost at sea. Please answer my question. Is this under common law or admiralty? Well, I already told you we're not under sea. Well, I can see that because I don't have gills. Okay, thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate that. Please answer my question. Is this under common law or admiralty maritime jurisdiction? Which jurisdiction do you tend to try me under? This is irrelevant questions. Actually, it is relevant because there's two different types of procedures for common law and for admiralty. The procedures are very different. So I need to know under which jurisdiction you intend to try me under so that way I can do this. I said, oh, common law, great. Oh, so common law, great. Oh, yeah, that's funny. Oh, common law. God, let the record reflect that the charge is indeed under common law. Okay, thank you very much for that, Judge. Thank you very much, Your Honor. Now, since this is under common law, has the state been able to produce an injured party? Case dismissed. Out the door. We're going to adjourn for today. Case dismissed. All right. When they do that, when they suddenly need to adjourn your case, they either have to sit back and go, all right, let's figure out what we can do with this guy later, right? Injuries? Oh, no. The state is a complaining witness. I've seen that one too. The state's a complaining witness. She said the state of Florida. The state of Florida is a victim? Yes. That's what I would say. The state of Florida is a victim? Oh, and how is the state of Florida victimized? Let the record reflect that the state of Florida is claiming to be a victim. Now, Your Honor, has the prosecution brought up any evidence or any affidavits in support of the victimization of the state of Florida? Yeah, produce the sworn complaint. Yeah, because otherwise there's nothing. All right. Where's the evidence? I'd like to see some evidence. Like, all right, I'll tell you what, Your Honor, I would like to adjourn for today so that we could do an evidentiary hearing in the Supreme Court and ascertain all the evidence and all the sworn complaints by the state of Florida and its victimhood. Yeah, she said she couldn't, so I said move to dismiss, and she denied. Well, that's because she's that's a scumbag. That's what that is. Oh well, we didn't have any. All right, well, I motion for dismissal for lack of formal complaint. No, that's being denied. You're denying. You're denying that. Can't deny that. If there's no sworn complaint, there is no charge. How are you bringing the charges if there's no sworn complaint? Like, I tell you what, like, all right, since you're operating under fiction of law and doing the presumption that I'm already guilty of a crime and that the crime did indeed take place where there is no sworn complaint of any crime or wrongdoing occurring, I'm going to assume that under the fiction of law doctrine that you're utilizing in order to serve justice upon yourself and upon the state, I'm going to say that now this fiction of law is now injuring me and my person. And now I have a sworn complaint. I'm going to write right now in your courtroom, don't do this. Don't do this with the pens in the courtroom. Do something like this. Go like the very dainty. Okay. Or just say, let the record reflect that now I'm being injured by this fiction of law inside this courtroom over a matter that has not been proven to have any actual basis in fact. No sworn complaint has existed, and now I am the injured party. And this is going to shut the whole thing down. Stop it. No, you can't say that in here. Let the record reflect that I'm being told that I don't have a right to be heard anymore. You know, like, do I have a right to be heard? Yes, but you've been heard already. I've seen that too. Do I have a right to be heard? Yes, but you've already been heard. And you know that because you can read my mind? You know, you got it. See, that's the thing about the court system, man. They are so corrupt and they do this every day. These guys are really good at this stuff. You got to be harder. You got to be stronger. You got to get with some friends, get together and practice with each other. You guys see each other, talking to each other here on TikTok or on Zoom or on YouTube. What you guys got to do, this is what you have to do. You have to get a little group together, sit there and practice this with each other, okay? And this is how you're going to get good at this stuff. They do not like it when you know the truth. That's damn straight they don't like it. They can't stop you from knowing the truth. They can only try to dissuade you from believing the truth. Okay? That's the only thing. That's the only thing they have left. Okay? And since you guys know about the fiction of law doctrine, okay, and that you know that they're utilizing this fiction of law in order to, impose justice upon the people, okay, now you know that once that fiction of law is harming you and they have no proof of harm, like what I think it was Mr. Credit was saying before, what was it, Mr. Credit, I forgot his name, Mr. Credit Pro, right? Mr. Credit was saying, like, boom, now it's harming me. I'm being harmed by your fiction of law. Your fiction of law is supposed to injure no one, but I'm being injured right now because of this presumption and an assumption that's being made about my guilt in a fictitious crime. There's no sworn complaint. There's nothing. So, okay, good. You moved it to federal. The police turned me into an injured party. Yeah, well, the police are really good at turning the average guy, man and woman traveling down the road into a criminal and then an injured party. They're really good at doing that conversion. Like you're like do my life is going fine. I don't have any major problems in my life, and here are the cops, and now my life is totally screwed up, and now I have to deal with this judge that hates me because I want my rights to be respected. That's what happens. The doctrine of legal fiction. Yeah. Is there any place to protect the people from government attacks? Yeah, this is what I do in my trust community. So I have a group, trust community. If anyone from there wants to say hello. All right, they're here on with me right now. And
Hello.
hey, so that's what we're doing. I show them how we utilize their trust regulations, their trust rules against them, and we utilize trust so that way we don't have to interact with our legal person inside of their system, and that offers like layers of protection. Okay, on top of the fact that the status corrections and stuff like that that you would do to separate yourself out. I was going to send a government letter putting on those not to interfere with my travel. How should I do? Yeah, the right to travel thing is tough because of the fiction of law thing. But what you can do is, I do have the DOT process on Rumble, okay, which helps. But standing on your square in the courtroom after that is one of the hardest things to do. But once you get through that, they'll leave you alone. But it will take some fighting, okay. So there's a bunch of things you can do. The DOT process works for the most part in most places. Some places they don't recognize it, but it just depends where you're at. If you're in Florida, I think it's pretty good in Florida. I can't say it's 100%, but the DOT process usually works. What's this? What else are we doing here? Lindsay is a musician, business owner. Oh, okay. You're a musician, Lindsay. That's cool. So am I. Couldn't tell? I got lots of guitars here. I have a guitar here no one even knows because it's sitting over here on the other side, but I got this one here too. So I got a whole bunch of guitars. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of stuff. I'm in Florida, got my private DOT number, still being corporate. And yeah, well, yeah, see, that's what I mean. Like, it's not 100%, but every state has exceptions. So what you have to do is in Florida, you have to go find where they adopted the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Act. It's usually in an administrative code inside the state. And funny enough, the administrative codes is where all the court rules are too. Isn't that something? Right? But that's where it was adopted. And then you put that in to submit that stuff into the court record saying, well, I'm utilizing the state's exemption. And what are they going to do? They're going, oh, we don't apply that here. Bullshit. It's written all over the registration cards. The registration application in the state, it's written all over that. The admin code and stuff like that. So they could go, it's all bullshit. They're full of shit. They know they're full of shit. The whole thing's BS. But they're going to keep playing that game because they can't allow it to pass through. Once someone does it and they don't seal the record, that's it. Cross country, instantly. People sitting in jail, right, for driving without a license have to be freed immediately, right? People who are paying thousands of dollars in fines, right? They have to be refunded all their money instantly. Has to. It's about the money. Right? It's all about the Benjamins. That's right. All right. So any other questions, comments, concerns? Because I'm going to have to head out. But anyone have anything they want to say? No?
There was one other example where he gave the contract trust example, like if you buy coffee at the coffee shop and you're signing the receipt, who's the grantor, who's the trustee, and who's the beneficiary. Well, I'm the one creating the money, so I guess I'm the grantor, but I'm also thinking I'm trustee because I'm the one that's having to pay for it.
It's a revocable trust.
Well, that's where I wonder if I should do the without recourse or non-negotiable, so they can only get paid once.
Wait, say that again.
Okay, so back to everything's a contract and everything is a trust. So I'm at the coffee shop and I'm signing the receipt for the coffee. I'm trying to think in my mind, who's the grantor, who's the trustee, and who's the beneficiary. Well, I'm the one signing it, so I'm the grantor, I'm creating the money, but it gets funneled off into a different system because I created the money out of nothing with my signature. So I wondered if I shouldn't be signing it without recourse or non-negotiable where they only get paid once.
Without recourse.
Okay.
And that's what I would.
But the beneficiary would be the coffee shop because they're getting paid.
Right. Yeah, they're getting paid, so they're the beneficiary. But that's all right. I mean, this is, it just is what it is. It doesn't have to be. Oh,
I'm just trying to take the everyday transactions I'm doing and trying to break it down as to who's the grantor, who's the trustee, and who's the beneficiary. Because every form of a contract is a type of a trust.
That's right. That's right. Especially in the debt-based system, it's all done in trust. Okay. Before the debt-based system, before 1913, it wasn't all in trust like that. They only did that because in trust you can utilize a debt-based system in order to, and then of course because of the banking system, the whole point was to split legal and equitable title, and they couldn't do that in America until they got a central bank to come in and run everything, and then utilize that thing. But you in Black Laws, yeah, I was. So I couldn't find the YouTube thing for a little while. I was missing out on all the YouTube comments. Mitch, you're funny, dude. All right, where can I meet the state? Oh yeah, bring the state in. Yeah, have the state come in. Give its a testimony. I can't do that. I mean, you could sign with both, but just the without recourse is all you need to say. That's it. So that covers it. All right. Anything else? Any other questions, comments, concerns? YouTube, TikTok, Zoom meeting. Zoom meeting is all the trust community people, right? Because if you guys remember in the past, we had some really nasty stuff going on when I shared the Zoom link in Telegram. So I'm not sharing it in Telegram anymore, only in the trust community. But if anyone wants to talk about the trust community, go ahead and do that real quick before I leave.
It's awesome. You guys are missing out. It's worth it. Every fiat dollar I pay, it's worth it.
It sure is. It's phenomenal. The education is crazy. You will not believe the amount of information that's given by Joe. He is really, really good. So you guys are really missing out. So to either get on it and join.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah. Jameson, he said, I have the DOT process. No cop has pulled me over. At least 20 highway patrols. None of them stopped me. Yeah. So the DOT stuff does work. When you run to like local cops, that's where things get a little weird. UCC 3-108 and without recourse are not the same thing. UCC 1-308 is reserving your rights. Without recourse means that you're not obligated to any other future holder of the instrument. So they're not the same thing. Okay. Yeah, the thing about the DOT thing, people go, oh, it's a contract, it's a contract. You're doing it through trust, okay? And two, you guys, like, not every contract with the government is bad, right? Like, people think every contract with the government is bad. Well, not every single one, okay? But some are, yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Some are, but it's not all of them are bad, okay? Let's be realistic here. If you've discharged any debt or beat a debt collector, right? That's because of a contract that you have with the government saying that they're going to protect your rights as a consumer. So the terms and conditions within the document, the signature itself has no intrinsic value. The value comes from the legal obligation it creates. Yeah, that's right. but on paper, it has the value. So when they go put that into a trust, now that legal obligation, right, is now the value on paper inside a trust or whatever they're putting in. If they put in their LLC or something like that, the LLC has now gone up. If they're doing banking or acting as a bank, then it goes up 10 times the amount of the value on that piece of paper. Do some research on. Yeah, I've read about that's the money stuff. I think what I think it is. I'll pull that up real quick. The 31 CFR. But I'm going to tell you that most of the time people are kind of mistaking on what these things actually say, and it's because they don't actually understand what this is about, right? So here, I'll pull this up for everybody real quick on the Zoom here and stuff. And but yeah, this is the thing. It's payment or redemption during lifetime of owner. Okay, retirement plan bond will be redeemable at its current. So here's the thing: they've jumped into the middle of the conversation, and this is what happens, right? But if you go back, it's about retirement bonds, description of bonds, investment yield. Like these are actual things. Like if you go look these things up, you'll find that these things are not. It's not the birth certificate. Okay. People tried, and it's very cute. But a retirement plan bond, I'm going to show you on Google what it looks like. We're going to Google, although you probably can't see it there on TikTok, but that's what these things look like. Retirement bonds. This is that's a tax form for that. But yeah. Looking at this, who's who? They're not going to show most of them because they're private. Stuff like that. Those are savings bonds. You guys remember those things? But it was a nice attempt. It was making headway, but it doesn't really have to do. Plus, the CFRs are not even law. Look where it comes from. It comes from the Federal Registry. So that means it's never been enacted into any law at all. Right? Like, yes, we know this is how they're doing these things, but there's a face value on these retirement bonds, but the birth certificate does not have. The birth certificate is not the same thing as a retirement plan bond. The birth certificate can produce or be utilized to create a retirement plan bond, but the birth certificate itself is a warehouse receipt. It is not it doesn't have a face value on it like the retirement plan bonds have. All right. And I think that's where the confusion lies in that. All right. But whoever showed you that was definitely digging into things and got so involved in it they kind of missed the overview of where that comes from. Could I show you the site of where they have the birth certificate bonds? I probably showed that to everyone else, and someone showed you where they got it from me originally. That's probably the truth of the matter, because I'm the one that found that years ago, and I showed people that years ago. And then people tried to show me over the years. And I'm like, well, that's very cute. But hey, it is what it is. But yes, it's a Maryland UCC filing, what you're talking about. And it shows the $14 quadrillion. I'm pretty sure that's what you're referring to. All right. If not, just tell me that that's not what you're referring to. But that's probably what you're referring to. But that's the collateral to print all the Federal Reserve notes, is the land and the people. Oh, this is different. Okay. Dave Jose, I like him. He's a good guy. I think he's doing the right thing. All right. Come on, Earl. Let's do it. I'm trying to get out of here, so let's pull it up so we can get I'll pull this up on YouTube for everybody. Oh, I should play yeah, let's do a Anyway, he has to dig it up. Too bad. All right. But yeah, that's the thing I was talking about. I showed that they were using the people for the collateral to print the Federal Reserve notes, and that's where it comes from. To fight debt collectors. Well, let's do that real quick. All right, UCC 1-209. There is no 209. Oh, 201.9, sorry. 9. Buyer in ordinary course of business means a person that buys goods in good faith without knowledge that the sale violates the rights of another person and the goods. In the ordinary course from a person other than a pawnbroker in the selling business goods of that kind, a person buys goods in ordinary course if the sale of the person comports with the usual or customary practices in the kind of business with the seller is engaged. The seller is using. Yeah, it's a good point. You could use that for a debt collector. You know, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. What's your ordinary course of business?" Well, that's a good one. I like that. That's nice. That's nice. All right. So that's another one you can use in the argument. Debt collector comes, you owe us money. I'm sorry. What's your ordinary course of business? Oh, our ordinary course of business is collecting debts. Oh, okay. What did I buy from you? What goods did I get from you in good faith? And what money have I given you? Oh, you haven't given us any money. And what are you going to give me in return if I were to give you money? And he said, well, we won't sue you. Oh, so this is just a threat, duress, coercion type of deal. I gotcha. Thank you. All right. So under threat, duress, and coercion, I have to pay you or you're going to sue me in court. Got it. That was a nice find, though. I like that. I appreciate it. Okay. So that's another one that put into the they also, yeah, I know they buy in bulk. So yeah, I always ask them. I say, I need to see the payment receipt from when you bought this alleged debt. Always called alleged. I need to see the payment receipt from when you bought this alleged debt. I need to see how much you intend to make off of me and how much you actually did as a tax write-off of this alleged debt, because they do that too. I've called them out for that. They don't fucking like that shit one bit. Oh, we can't provide you that information. Then you can't prove to me that I actually owe you anything, can you? That's too funny. The debt collectors, man, they're the biggest joke around, you know? And it's sad that people get caught up with this crap with them, you know, and that these guys, they use the court system to screw people up, right? And that's the worst part about it. In Texas, I take my own getting pulled over so much. Oh yeah, some areas, yeah, they get crazy about the DOT stuff. They were doing that with me for a while, but now they just won't. Now they just leave me alone. So, thank God, it's been enough. The law firm says they are debt collector for Wells Fargo. Payment goes to Wells Fargo. The law firm says that they're a debt collector. So, okay, can I see your debt collecting license, law firm? Please show me that you have a license in the state of in order to be to collect debts. Now I also need to see. Not only do I need to see your license number, I need to see if you're still in good standing with that license number. Okay. Not only that, doesn't include bulk buys. Yeah, you got that too. Yeah, that's a good point. And then you say, okay. Also, I'll need to see. Are you now? I need to know the difference here. You're saying, are you just contacting me so I pay them, or did you buy the debt from them and now trying to get me to pay you for the debt that you bought from them? So I need clarification on that. Are you just, because you're a law firm, are you representing them and I'm supposed to still pay them, or are you actually the debt collector and I'm supposed to pay you? Okay, now tell me, this alleged debt, did you get this verified by someone with firsthand knowledge that this was a true and valid debt? Or are you just going to show me pieces of paper that with numbers on it and saying, see, you owe a debt? Because that piece of paper with numbers on there, I can make something like that up too. Say, look, by the way, since you're a debt collector, you want to buy my debt? Wells Fargo owes me $25 million. Here's a piece of paper that says it. I can make that shit up too right now. Holy shit. Oh, yeah, they accept it for value. Yeah. But that does work in some states. Not every state recognizes that. It's unfortunate because it would be great if all the states were uniform in that way. But yeah, it is a problem in every state. You kind of have to learn what works and what they do and do not uphold or recognize. So even if they give you tickets except for value and proof ticket is paid. Yeah, I mean it that they do that in New Jersey, but you have to do it a certain way or else they won't take it. Well, you use the card. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah, I use the card. I could use let a credit card company send me a card, tell me go ahead and use this, right? I'll use it all fucking day long, all night. I'll use the shit out of it, and I'll turn around to them and say I don't owe them a penny, and I'm factually correct. Why? Because I issued them a security and they took that collateral and 10 times whatever I used. So that not only did that debt become 10 times on their books as 10 times of the value of their company. Okay. But now they're going to tell me that I have to pay them for creating value to their company. No, 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 no. If I spent $10,000, right, that means they have $100,000 on the books that they can now utilize to loan other people. So you're very, very welcome, company, for me increasing your booking and your value $100,000 with my $10,000 that I spent. So I don't have to pay them a damn penny. They're using fractional reserve banking. All right, I, as the issuer of that instrument that they're using, that they're connecting that card to, right, as the issuer of that instrument, I'm entitled to receive payment. And I think that me using the credit card without having to, because remember, credit is deferring payments. It's deferring payments, so you don't have to pay on those things. It's deferring it already, right? So because of that, I don't have to pay shit. There is nothing to pay. What am I going to pay them? They don't take gold and silver coin. I asked them if they would take it, and they don't take it. I said, well, that's the only constitutional money there is. There is no other money other than that, right? They want fiat. Well, I gave them fiat. I put it on paper. I got on a piece of paper saying that I spent $5,000, so they have $50,000 on their books now. So, and that is how it is. How about they close an account and say you still owe on the balance after they closed it, no consideration? I would say, all right, well, then I'm entitled to the FDIC insurance. So you go ahead and pay me the $250,000 from the FDIC insurance, and I'll surely give you back the balance that's owed to you. It's a fucking joke, man. Well, that's not how that works. Well, didn't you fund it from my Social Security account? That's when you can say it's yours, right? You play that fucking game with them. I filed a 3949A this morning on PayPal, or you mean PayPal? Just look at a closed account. I know what closed account means. It's an account that you can't put any more credits onto, but you can still use for offsets and debits. I understand that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, fine, I owe you money on the closed account. Go ahead and give me the $250,000 FDIC insurance policy payout as is owed to me, and I'll surely give you the whatever's owed to you. And they'll forget the debt. Right? But that's what a closed account means, that you can still offset with that account. And that's what I'm saying. The FDIC, you're still insured, right? It was insured because they drew money out of your Social Security, out of the Social Security account in order to fund that thing, right? Yeah, it's on the back and on the front of the car. I put it on both sides. Yeah. Well, what you got to do is you do the 1099-C then. They're supposed to do it, but they're not going to. So go just do a 1099-A, right, on it for every year you had the account with the full balance, saying you loaned them that amount of money, okay? And then they're going to have to pay you back. Because as a bank, they're going to 10x whatever you gave them. So if for the year you made, let's say you deposited $30,000 in the bank over the year, right? That means they had $300,000 on their books for loaning because of you. Okay, that's what that means. But what you don't owe them shit. You made them richer by using their bank. Where's your advice starting from scratch? I got a CC card, credit card debt in the middle of a mortgage, and I'm a vet. Well, the credit card debt is probably the easiest thing to handle. Basically you would just go to them and just ask for, proof that you sent them in the rescission forms and that they gave you rescission forms for you to rescind. just list out all the violations under Title 15, Chapter 41 that they've committed on you, and they'll let go of that debt real quick. Okay, they'll. But if you really want help with that, you can private message me. I can help you out with that. But it's Title 15, Chapter 41, and you have everything to use in there. 1635, all that stuff. And then, of course, the Fair Debt Collection Practices section, right? Use that as well. This is really Chapter 41 in Title 15. So, yeah, there you go. He's got it. But that's what you would use. But you can go ahead, private message me, and then I'll help you out. We'll set up a meeting, something. I'll help you out on that. All right. But that's it for me. I'm gonna go because I got stuff to do today. But not that I wouldn't not want to hang out with you guys. This has been fun. You guys have fun today? I like how everyone's quiet. I sent you a long PM I'd like to discuss with you. Okay. Yeah, we can talk. Yeah, you too. You guys, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate everybody. But I'm going to head out. I'll look for that message. And you guys,